Hello there everyone, and welcome to another edition of Lydia's Crafty Corner with me, Lydia, in my little crafty corner. So today we're going to be having a really simple one, and we're going to be mixing some bright and bold layered florals with some black outline stamps of a different style, which is really fun and it gives a really great effect. So to start with, I'm going to be using the beautiful Rosy Outlook stamp set, and I'm going to be using all of the images on here. So first up, I'm going to stamp up my large flowers. So I'm going to start with the base layer, and for the pink ones, I'm going to be using the pink pearl. So I'm going to ink that up and I'm going to stamp that into place on a little panel of solar white cardstock. So once I've done that one, I've cleaned off my stamp, and I'm then going to ink it up with the beautiful Sunray for my yellowy orange flowers there. So once I've stamped that one, I then clean it off again, and I'm going to be using the beautiful Iceberg for the blue flowers. I'm really liking this blue collection that we have here. So once I've done that, I'm then going to go on to the large bud image, and I'm going to be using the same colours as before. So the Iceberg for the base layer of the blue flower, the Sunray for the base layer of the yellow flower, and the pink pearl for the base layer of the pink flower that we have going on. Once I've done the large buds, I'm then going to move on to the smaller buds, and again I've used the same colours for the base layers. I'm then going to go on to the second layers, and for this one I'm going to be using chamomile. So for the yellow one, I'm using the chamomile for the second layer there. I'm just going to layer that into place. You can use the layering guide on the back of the stamp set to help you get that into place. For the base layer of the pink flowers, the second layer of the pink flowers, I'm going to be using the Coral Bliss. And for the second layer of the blue ones, I am going to be using the beautiful Eastern Sky. So as before, I'm going to be using the same colours again for the second layers on the larger buds and also the smaller ones. So that is the Eastern Sky for the blue, the chamomile for the yellow, and also the beautiful Coral Bliss for the pink ones. I'm really liking these colours together. Even though they're like primary colours, they're kind of a little bit different because they're a bit more dusky and very pretty, and I think they work together perfectly. So once I have finished with all of the second layers, I'm then going to move on to the third layers. So for the third layer of the yellow one, I have used the Snapdragon ink. And for the third layer of the pinky red one, I'm going to be using the Heartbeat. And then for the third layer of the blue one, I am going to be using the Aquamarine ink there. So once I have done all of those, I'm then going to move on to the third layer on the larger buds. The smaller buds don't have a third layer or a fourth layer, so you don't need to worry about those ones. So once those ones are all then complete, I can then move on to my fourth layers. So for the fourth layers, I'm going to be using the Vineyard Berry for the pretty pink, ready, beautiful bloom that we have going on here. And then I'm going to be using the Marigold for the yellowy orange tone flower, and then the Azurite for the blue one. So like I said, I'll be using the same colours for the fourth layer of the large bud, and you don't need to worry about that smaller one anymore. That's kind of complete, bar the little stem that we're going to pop on now. So for the stems that kind of nestle in around the bottom of the blooms, I'm going to start with the base layer, and for that one I am going to be using the beautiful Minty Mint. And I'm going to use this for all of the little stem images that nestle into these. So this is all the base layer, so the base layer on the larger bud and also the smaller bud as well. I'm also going to use the Minty Mint to stamp the base layers of my leaves. I've used both of the leaves in the set, and I've just stamped a few of those. Now I didn't use all of them, so you don't need to stamp quite so many, but then I have some more for future projects as well. For the second layer of my greenery, I am going to be using the Sweet Leaf ink. So I'll be using that for the second layers of the little stem that nestles around the bottom of the buds, and also the second layer of all of the leaves that I've stamped out as well. So this is a really great colour combination. I'm loving the greens, the blues, the pinks and also the yellows that we do have going on here. So once I've finished stamping all of my leaves, I'm then going to move on to the third layer of the greenery, which I am going to be using the beautiful Just Green for that. So this doesn't have a lot of stampable area. This is just the very detail that we have here. And even though it looks really dark when you place it on, it is going to lighten up because it is dye ink. So don't worry too much about that. Once I have everything stamped, I'm then going to take the coordinating die set and I'm just going to place that around the images, and I'm going to add a little bit of masking tape there just so it doesn't move around when I do die cut these. So all you need to do is just place them around the image so you can see the image through the die, and then just run them through your machine. I'm then going to be using the Precious Peony. Now I'm going to kind of use the flowers that we've already die cut to kind of fill in those flowers that we have going on. It's going to give it a really, really cool look, and it's very different as well. So you can really play around with these to get the combinations that you want. So once I'm kind of happy with what I'm going to go with, I'm then going to take the images. I did end up using all 3 clusters on this stamp set on 3 different cards. So I'm just going to take the outline and I'm just going to ink this up using some of the Obsidian ink. This is a really great ink to get a really crisp black image. So I'm going to stamp that down, and I am stamping onto my Altenew stamping mat, which I do find gives really great pressure when stamping. I'm then going to stamp a sentiment again from the Precious Peony, and I'm going to add in my flowers. To add a little bit of dimension and a little bit of interest to my card, I am adding my little flowers on with some foam tape, and then I'm going to add my leaves on with some glue tape. So it's going to look as though that the flowers are further up than the leaves, and the leaves are a little bit more tucked away and further into the background. So as you can see, I'm just placing these around. I do love the fact that with die cuts you can really play with your composition before you even commit to how it's going to look like in the end. You can really have a good old play. So once that card was complete, I then moved on to a second one, and I'm using the large cluster for this one. I'm just going to stamp that into place. Again, I'm using the Obsidian black ink. I'm just going to stamp that down so I'm happy with it. There was a little bit hanging off my block, so all I've done is I've taken another block and stamped that down, and that works really, really well. Again, as before, I'm going to add my flowers on with a little bit of foam tape to pop them up. And this time I've left a bit more of the image, so we've got a couple of those outline flowers popping through, which I really do like the look of as well. So I'm going to add in my leaves in a cluster of 3 in a kind of a triangle fashion, because I do find that that makes my eye very, very happy. So I've made a third card as well, and I am loving how these turned out. We have these super bright florals which just jump out at you, and then we have like a little bit of a background effect with that black outline image that we have going on there. I really do hope that you've enjoyed the video and that you like the technique involved as well. If you do want to watch any more videos, we have a couple more here that you can watch at your leisure. Also, if you don't want to miss out on any videos that we do upload to the channel, it'd be great if you do subscribe. Thank you so much for watching, everyone, and I'll see you again really, really soon. Bye bye.